Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're live on YouTube, and this is Morning Coffee with STrEaM Academy. We've got a great morning coffee. It is Wednesday, January 6th. Here we are in January in 2021. A new year, clean slate. And we're excited to get started. We started school on Monday, January 4th. And we're back. Good morning, Mrs. Beyondich. How are we doing today?
Good morning, Principal Mokelke. I am doing fabulously. Thank you.
Awesome. I am at my home office, and Mrs. Beyondich is in the office at school. Going to continue to work from home on Wednesdays, if at all possible, because it's my Zoom day. We have other staff and parents and board members with us, and we're streaming live on YouTube. Good morning to everyone who's joined us so far, and good morning to our YouTube audience, either live or watching later, catching up on the great happenings at STrEaM Academy. Anchored STrEaM Academy empowers students to be involved learners, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens who are inspired by the natural world. That is our mission. Today we have, of course, updates on what's happening for you. We want to take a minute to thank some sponsors and talk about our nonprofit, check in with our 501c3. Upcoming events and things on the calendar, of course. We have featured today a virtual tour with Ms. Bonards, our counselor, of her website. We're going to start to feature a regular check-in about assessment and grading at STrEaM Academy with Ms. Kodelman. And we'll have time to answer questions and talk with parents before we launch out of here around 9 o'clock. So things to remember for the new year, upcoming things to remember. Of course, today we talked about what morning coffee will look like. We will have morning coffee every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. Next week's morning coffee falls on the same Wednesday as our monthly APC meeting, our academic policy committee, the board that oversees me and oversees our program, STrEaM Academy. And so we will preview anything that's going to be on the agenda for that board meeting, of course, on next Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have our board chair, Andronelle Brown, on, but I'm not 100% sure about that because she is a very busy person and has conflicting meetings on Wednesday mornings. Do you know, Mrs. Beyondich, if Mrs. Brown is going to be able to make it?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know that she's sure yet, but I do know that we're going to have the agenda posted to our website. And by Friday, it will be up and live. We're starting to work on it today. And we have a brand new organization of the website under the academic APC, Academic Policy Committee, on the website. So if you go, remember to refresh the website. And then you'll see our new drop downs, and it's very easy to navigate now, and much less Sylvia brain and more rest of the world brain.
Got it. Thank you. Mrs. Beyondich, you do so much to keep us organized and put information out there for our school community. I really appreciate that. Really, it's hard to explain to people how much you do behind the scenes, but it's a lot, and it makes our school awesome. Thank you. We have cohort presentations coming up on the following Wednesdays. We will cycle back through each of our cohort pairs of teachers and have them come on and talk about what's happening with their students and in their cohorts, what they're studying, what they're learning, what their projects are, what they're focused on, to give parents a chance to meet with those teachers and ask them questions. We have a lot of cool guests and just interesting things lined up already for morning coffee. I'm really excited that we're planning on bringing back Dr. Holly Geis, who is an Alaska Native Inupiaq and has a PhD, obviously, and a college professor, history and cultural studies, and an expert, I think it's fair to say an expert on an Alaskan hero. And I always stumble with the last name, Sylvia. Peratrovich. Elizabeth Paratovich. And so Dr. Geis will be back on. We have an Elizabeth Paratovich Day in Alaska, and so close to that date, we'll have her back on. She has a chapter in a book I have in my office, if you ever want to check it out, called Suffrage at 100. She has a chapter in that book on Elizabeth Paratovich. And so I'm excited that we're going to bring Dr. Geis back on. We are featuring another new author, this time instead of a nonfiction, educational related book like we've done with Passion for Kindness and Inspire and others. We are featuring a young adult fiction author. So we're featuring a young adult fiction book called The Truth Project. I have to confess, I have not actually read it yet. It's on my list. But Mrs. Bionich, being the voracious reader that she has already consumed this text and says it is outstanding, it's excellent, and would be good for, most likely for maybe Mrs. Smith and our 8th grade students. And so we are bringing that author on. Her name is Dante, I think it's Medina, local author, part of why we're featuring her. She's an Alaskan author. She did most of her writing for that book at the writer's block. And so to feature a young adult author, there it is, The Truth Project. Mrs. Bionich has it up on her screen. I have to spotlight you. Hold on, Mrs. Bionich. So hopefully everyone can see that on YouTube as well. The book is called The Truth Project, and we're bringing an Alaskan author, local author, Dante Medina, on to talk about that. I'm excited about that.
This book is wonderful. I loved this book. I ate this book up. It's a beautiful novel in verse, and periodically there's emails or text messages that the main character sends. It is a beautiful book featuring a student who learns more about herself, a self-discovery through project-based learning. It's a beautiful book.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm excited to read it and pass it on to our ELA and social studies teachers as well. Can you tell us, Mrs. Bionich, about Coats for Kids, please, and what we've got going there, and help us kind of get that word out?
So yeah, we received a grant from Operation Warm and their partner in Alaska, Money Mart, to supply coats to all of our students. We received 160 coats, varying in size. These are adult sizes. They run a little small, but these are adult sizes, extra small to extra, extra large. The extra, extra large coats almost fits me, and I'm a big woman. So that's they're good sizes. The extra small is like a extra large in kids. We have distributed about half of the coats. We still have 81 coats that we can distribute. We're a little light on the sizes extra small and extra, extra large. And we have a lot of smalls and mediums. So, and we need to get these coats out of our building. They're not doing us any good here in our building. We need to get them to our students, and if a sibling needs a coat as well, we've been able to supply a couple of sibling coats. If you don't need a coat because you don't feel like you're worthy enough, that's fine, but can we put a coat on somebody else? Can we get a coat into somebody else's hands? Help us get these coats out. They're beautiful coats. They're really warm, and they're not doing anybody any good sitting in our basement. So call us, arrange to select a coat and pick it up, and we will keep our kids warm and encourage outdoor education.
Yes, Mrs. Bionich, thank you. Mrs. Bionich got the grant for us for Project Warm to provide these coats, and we really want to get more of these coats out. We've given out a lot of coats. We've given a lot of our students coats. That's been awesome. So we've given out like half of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we just want to get the word out there. If you have a child that needs a coat, if you know a child that could use a coat, they're nice new winter coats, please contact us and arrange to come by and pick out a coat. We have another grant that I can't say too much about yet until we get it officially, but we're working with one of our board members who's with us, Renee Fredericks. She works at Cook Inlet Tribal Council and runs their Fab Lab program. And we're working on a grant in partnership with them to do some mini Fab Labs at STrEAM. So Miss Gatlin and I have been working on that, and we are really excited and really hopeful that Cook Inlet will get that grant, and we'll be a partner school, and we'll have mini Fab Labs that we're adding in. So that's super exciting. I do want to talk a little bit about this semester. Now that semester 2 is started, and we're back in the saddle. We, of course, started classes again virtually. And so students rotated their 3 classes again. They are in the classes for the most part that they were in first quarter. And they have 3 classes again, 2 core classes, either math, science, or language arts and social studies. And then the 3rd class is sort of an elective. We call it our mission and vision class. It's an opportunity for our teachers to extend their teaching in those 2 core classes in projects and to build in other types of projects and learning experiences that fit with our mission and vision. So what our teachers have done with the freedom and flexibility of that 3rd class has been amazing, honestly. And it's a decision we happened on that I'm really, really thankful that we did it. You know, when it's hard to think out of the box of traditional education sometimes. And so when we were building this schedule, you know, I was trying to decide what elective to have teachers teach in that 3rd block, and essentially to tell them what to do, which is sort of the default way of building a schedule. And we really sort of, you know, kept coming back to, well, I want it to be an elective. I want them to teach electives in that block that fit our mission and vision. And so we then started calling that block in the schedule mission vision for short. And really ultimately ended up deciding that the best way to do that elective mission and vision block was to let the teachers do what they would like to do, as long as it aligned to our mission and vision, because we have that trust and our teachers have that autonomy that I know our teachers are great, and none of them are new to STrEAM Academy. They know our mission vision. And if we just give them the freedom to do things within the mission and vision that are project-based, that are STEM-based, that are outdoor or experiential, that they would do great things with that. And they have. It's been really amazing to see how they've tied that class into their core classes and the creative projects. And like Miss Kotelman's with us today, the video PSA video projects that her and Miss Gable did are phenomenal. They're just so great. I'm really excited about that. So those are the classes that students have for 3rd quarter. Of course, we are still planning to return to some in-person small group learning labs and tutoring on Tuesday, January 19th. There's no school Monday, 2 weeks from now, no school for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then on that Tuesday, our plan is to start small. And really, I want to ease it back into in-person learning. I want to dip our toe in the water, so to speak. I want to get comfortable with the processes and policies and procedures, and with having students in the building and following our health and safety plan in a gradual way, rather than diving into the deep end of the pool. I think for the sake of our parents, our students, and our teachers, that diving into the deep end of the pool would not be the best approach. Going back to, a much more full in-person learning slate would be a shock to everyone's system. And this will allow us to really figure out how things are going to work with kids in the building. We have everything worked out in theory. Let's see how it works when you've got middle schoolers back in with us. So on that date, on the 19th, we will have 5 to 10 students at the most scheduled to come in the building. Students will be in the building. Students who are scheduled for in-person learning labs, will have them 1 day a week. And so if you're signed up, if you've done the survey or requested an in-person learning lab day, you'll have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday. You'll have one of those days. We're keeping Wednesday asynchronous for now. And so we'll have them signed up, and we'll have them doing their Zoom classes and able to attend school in the building with us. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to put our foot in the water and to wade into the shallow end of the pool and work all of the kinks out and really get comfortable with having students in the building again. And I know it sounds weird to say that, but keep in mind, we're coming up on a year. We're coming close to, it was spring break last year when we realized coronavirus was, devastating and very, very dangerous, and things shut down. So it's been a long time since we've had students in the building. So we're going to ease back into that. What else do we want to say about that? I think that's plenty. I think if you have questions, if you'll stay on after Ms. Bonertz and Ms. Kotelman share some information, we'll take questions about learning labs and other things at the end. The other thing I want to touch base on is the lottery is open. And what none of you need to apply for the lottery unless you have younger siblings, of your children, or because returning students just roll over. You don't have to do anything. If you have a student at STrEAM, you don't have to do anything. Every year I have a couple of parents who put in for the lottery for their kid that's already in STrEAM, which is, it's okay. It doesn't hurt anything, but you don't have to do that. But what we do need your help with is, our school, our entire program is based on student enrollment, and we need to meet our targets. So we have found the best way, the number one way we get new students is good old fashioned grassroots word of mouth. Facebook's great, and we put stuff out on Facebook and on Twitter. It's, I don't think, quite as effective. We've done radio advertisements. We put flyers all over town in places we think they'll see them. Those things are fine. Miss Gatlin, probably the second close to, most effective thing we do is Miss Gatlin selects student leaders and visits feeder schools, elementary schools, and fifth grade classrooms and tells students about STrEAM. That's pretty effective. But the most effective thing, the number one way we get students is parents, friends of STrEAM, staff, supporters of STrEAM, telling families, telling other people about STrEAM and saying, hey, you should put in for the lottery. You should put in for this school. It's a great school. So really that word of mouth is the most effective. And, I used to kind of give this analogy or explain often to people that we're all at the center of a web, right? Like each of us is at the center of this vast web of people. We have our direct connections of people we talk to and communicate with, and that hear what we say every day. And then every one of those people has their people. And so if we spread a message, it spreads all through your web. And I think that takes on a whole different meaning now with coronavirus, with COVID-19, because now we are all very acutely aware that you're at the center of a web of people, and that, how things sort of spread, and they do contact tracing for that now. So please spread the word. Please share that the lottery's open. We're looking for incoming 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and we'd love to have more applicants for STrEAM Academy. Mrs. Bionich, did I cover it well, or do you want to share anything else about the lottery?
No, I think you got it. We'll have a few seats open in 7th and 8th grade, but we have a whole brand new set of seats for our 6th graders, and we're excited to find the 6th graders that will be the perfect STrEAM family for us. So spread the word.
Definitely. Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Bionich for a moment to talk about our 501c3 and our donations for our ski program. I'm also going to grab a cup of coffee, Mrs. Bionich. So you've got the entire floor for the time it takes me to get back.
Well, it's a good thing you're close to your kitchen since you're at home. Yep, a plug for our coffee mugs. Our 501c3 is the nonprofit that governs fundraising for Anchorage STrEAM Academy. One of our fundraisers, of course, last year was the mugs. There are a few mugs left. We have a very small but tight core of people that are on the 501c3. We're looking for more people, especially people that have expertise or a desire to learn about fundraising. We set a fundraising goal. That was fast, Mr. Mokelke. We set a fundraising goal for for 2020 so that we could raise $10,000. Unfortunately, we didn't actually meet our goal for 2020. The 501c3, unlike the school, runs on a physical year as opposed to a fiscal year. So our brand new year is starting, and in March we'll have our first annual meeting. We did, however, we were able to receive donations from GMG General. They are a Class 5 Rapid sponsor. Dr. Barnes and Aurora Children's Dentistry are a Class 2 Rapid sponsor, and Yip Tees Apparel and Sportswear also. Then we got some small private donations. I want to give a shout out to Abby Stout, who is one of our new 6th graders, who told everyone she knows that they need to send us money, and they did. So good job.
That is amazing. I didn't know that. That is
we have
awesome.
A 6th grader so excited about cross-country skiing that she told everybody that our school needs help and to send money in, and they all sent small donations of $100, and so she herself should be a Class 5 Rapid sponsor because she did such a great job. So good job, Ms. Stout. You are an amazing 6th grader.
I think you should total the donations that are sent because of her and credit her towards the sponsor level, whatever that total is.
Absolutely. We'll get permission to get her name on our website.
That's amazing. And that's a great example of what I was sharing about how we're all at the center of a vast web of people and influence that web of people. And if everyone would do that same thing for the lottery and for enrollment, can you imagine the interest we'd get in, the numbers we'd get in our lottery?
That's right. So word of mouth, the original way of advertising.
Word of mouth is still the best. It's still the number one way of advertising, I think. So awesome. Thank you, Ms. Bionich. I appreciate that. I want to say good morning really quick. Again, we've already said good morning, but I want to say hello to those who are watching on YouTube. We've got quite a few people watching the YouTube stream this morning, and one of our parents, Nathine Adkins, always says good morning and make sure to say hi to us over on the YouTube. It has a chat piece as well. So good morning, Mrs. Atkins, and good morning to everyone else who's watching us on YouTube. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. I want to remind especially staff and APC members, the chat feature on the Zoom is great, and it's a great way to ask questions or communicate, but let's also please try to verbalize any of those that are pertinent to everybody, because YouTube audience doesn't see them as often. So if you're saying thank you or making a comment, that's totally fine. Usually if there's a good question or information everyone needs, Miss Bionich will jump in and she'll share that with us. So, awesome, thank you. Okay, it is time for us to switch gears over, and I'm really excited. I've talked about this before. I've said this before, but it bears saying, the incredible amount of work that our staff has done since we started virtual school. It's so impressive, and I'm so proud of it. I talk about it a lot because I'm just so genuinely proud to be the principal of a school that met this challenge head on, that has done so much work and worked so hard and put so much effort into really reinventing how we do school. And so Miss Bonertz is one example of that. She built, since we started online schooling, she built an entire website, a whole new platform, a counselor website, and it has, you have to go there and check it out. It's really awesome. It has all of these resources and amazing things on it, but I don't want to spoil and say what's on there, because what we have next is Miss Bonertz is going to do a virtual tour of this awesome website she's built. It's a great resource for students and parents and staff also. So I'm going to turn it over. Good morning, Miss Bonertz. Thank you for agreeing to present, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can I share my screen pretty please? Oh, geez. It's right there. Never
I
mind.
and I,
So
I believe you have the power.
my skills are dusty, forgive me. Okay. All righty, tighty. Yeah, here's my website. I started this back in March. Um, to kind of give students and parents and community members a, just a place to go to for help. And so this is, my homepage, and my contact information is down here. So if you ever have a question, email is a little bit better. You can call my office phone number, make sure you leave a message if I don't answer, and just let me know when is a good time to call you back. And I always get those sent to my email. So that's always an option as well. But up here, I have a couple of different sections here. The first one up here is coping with COVID. A lot of the things that I have here, I've kind of added as we've gone along. But one of the things here is, I have the staying connected section where there's lots of good ways for families, for students to stay connected, not just with friends and families near and far, but also staying connected with life. So there's lots of different things on here, video, virtual tours of museums, national parks, move together, so plan conversations when you walk, things like that. I actually have a friend that one of these up here was a next Netflix party. Over winter break we would meet and we would FaceTime and watch Christmas movies like a bunch of geeks, and we loved it. And we played like Christmas movie bingo and stuff, and it was really fun. She lives in Seattle, and we had a great time. And that was one way I was able to stay connected, and I still stay connected with a lot of my friends. But there's a lot of great things on here to stay connected and to keep kids engaged in learning and in fun things. Down here, lots of facts about COVID, taking care of your behavior health, coping with stress, stress reactions, managing anxiety, and then the mask protocols from ASD. So these are just some good COVID things that I'm sure most of you are already keeping up with, but just in case you need another place to find stuff. The next section, family resources. This one has a nice array of things for families to stay engaged. This one here, SEL activity for family time. So I know that, watching TV might not be the very top thing, but there's a lot of great movies out there that you can have these discussions with your kids. What were some of the choices that the characters made in the movie? What do the characters feel? How can you tell what their feelings are? These are really great ways to get kids to really tune into human behavior. So that's a great one to do with your family. I talked about this book a couple of different times. We had a parent that brought this book to my attention that I thought was great, Parenting in the Screen Age. Basically, it's just a great way to kind of get that conversation going with kids. They're already on so much screen time. I think I read something that said that kids are now on their screens 8 hours a day and are outside less than 1. Which is really heartbreaking. I'm hoping that our STrEAM kids aren't necessarily falling into that bubble, but this is a great book to give parents some insight on how to talk to your kids about limiting that screen time and how important it is. Down here, here's some Anchorage, health and social service, human service, emergency, community service type things. So if you or a family member or a community member or friends need anything, any help with, clothing, food, shelter, anything like that, that's a great resource. And then, of course, our care line and our suicide prevention information. It's just always good to know where you can find this. You never know, you really never know when somebody's in trouble until you know, and then you have to act. And you always want to know, what do I do now? So these are some great numbers to have on hand to know where to find them if you ever come into encounter with anybody that is just feeling like there's no way out. Down here, there's more mental behavior health services. The teen brain, six things to know. Our parents their children are turning into young adults, and so it kind of helps learning what that process looks like. And children during the and mental health during is just a stage. This one is a really great one too, to just kind of understand where your child is at mentally in their stage of life. So that's a good article too. Down here, I have a couple of websites. Volunteers of America, lots of resources for prevention, substance misuse, mental health concerns, things like that. And then down here, another one, Wide Open School, is a great website. It has tons of academic stuff, but it also has life skills stuff. So, get the kids cooking, get the kids thinking about social emotional learning, get the kids, learning how to sew or crochet or things like that. There's art on that website. There's lots of great things on there to check out. There's virtual field trips, there's exercises, there's lots of different, actually, let's just open it up. Oh, okay, let's just open it up. I really liked this website. In fact, when the pandemic hit, I sent this to my brothers to give to my nieces and nephews. So I thought it was really great. Lots of great things on here: emotional well-being, fitness, art, music, and DIY projects. Like I said, life skills things. So I really liked this website, and I just thought it was really well put out. And then also when you click on these, it will take you to age appropriate things. So you can, it's not just one age, you can take it, they'll take you to age appropriate materials to help you through that. So that's kind of cool too. All right. And then my favorite is the student resources page. And I really encourage you to have your kids. I try to tell our students, hey, go on my website and just try to do one thing every day, just one. So here's a lot of stress relief tips and benefits that the students can, get a hold of and try to help them keep calm in this time. Activities to relieve stress, meditation. I have several meditation videos. I think they're all less than 15 minutes. And meditation, you'd be surprised how great it can help. I was watching a study that said that 8 weeks of meditation practice actually shrank the part of your brain that deals with anxiety and stress, and it increased the part of your brain that deals with happiness and things like that. So I thought that was really, really cool. And that's something I've been trying to work on during this pandemic as well, is just to be very mindful. I have some great yoga videos on here too. Again, not long videos. I try to keep them short. This wellness toolkit is great for the family to stay healthy and physically and mentally. And then I have this great, I liked this one, Take Time for Fun, because it does feel like I feel like I hear the word bored a lot. I'm bored. And so this is a great one to go to think, what can we do? What can I do? And then down here, lots of different exercise videos. I've got the pound from Miss Gable. She gave our staff and students that cool pound class. So the 6th graders know what pound is. I got a cardio workout, Zumba. This one here is an African dance that's only 5 minutes. We got boxing down here, and then a dance class that's all Disney music, which I totally geeked out on and have done a couple of times. So yeah, so please take the time to go over this. If there's something on here that you're like, Amy, that doesn't make sense, or can you elaborate on what that means, or can you put more things on it about this, let me know. If there's something on there that's like that you can't access because I didn't share it properly, which has happened, please let me know. And then again, like one of our parents, they let me know, like, hey, this is a really good resource, that book. So if there's another resource that you would like me to share for families and students, please let me know, and I'd be happy to throw it on there. It's been fun updating this. It's been fun having this. So please put this in your bookmarks with your kids. I do stress that try to get your kids to do one of these things, at least over the weekends, keeping them engaged, keeping them moving, keeping their minds going, minds healthy, things like that. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about it? Or that you can find my website is on my Canvas page. My students can access it through my Canvas page. This is also on our STrEAM website as well. So there's a couple different ways that students and families can access this. So, and again, if you have any questions, concerns, or things you think that would be good to add, please let me know. Yeah, give me a call.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Bonerts. What an incredible website. There are so many resources for our families on there, and I hope people will check that out and take advantage of that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Awesome. Next, we have Ms. Kotelman, who's going to share a little bit with us. And Ms. Kotelman has been with us since we opened STrEAM. We were reminiscing on a team meeting yesterday about our first year opening the school bare bones from scratch.
Building the plane while we're flying it was a common phrase.
That was our motto the first year. We were definitely building the plane while we were flying it. It was an awesome adventure that first year. Miss Ziep, we were talking about you, how you came in and out of retirement. And we were about to start the school year and had not yet been able, so the timeline to open a charter school is short. I was the first person hired, and I was hired in May to open a school in August. And I had to hire all of our staff and of course everything else. And we were coming up on the start of school, and we were not able to hire a special education teacher. It was too short of a time frame, and they're hard to find as it is. And I was panicking a little bit. And so I reached out to our founders, who a lot of them worked at Begich or had worked at Begich. And they reached out to an awesome special education teacher they knew who had just retired. And that is Ms. Yip, who has also been the chair of our APC and is on our APC. And Ms. Yip came in the first year we opened STrEAM and handled special education for us and was amazing. So, but Ms. Kotelman's been with us from the start. And so she knows some of our school-wide philosophies, educational philosophies and practices really, really well. One of the things she has become an expert on is our grading and assessment philosophy and approach. We do grading and assessment differently. We do it in a way that we think is much more authentic and fair and balanced than traditional grading systems. And she has done a lot of presentations and talked about that a lot. So I've asked her, as sort of a new feature to Morning Coffee, to just touch base briefly a little bit on assessment and grading at STrEAM Academy each Morning Coffee. So each week she's going to share a little bit with you. And I'll turn it over to her. What do you want to share with us about assessment and grading today, Ms. Kotelman?
So today we're talking about the importance of the PAW and why students get credit for trying in our school. A lot of families go to the grade book and they see these a bunch of different grades, and they say PAWs and MAWs, and there's a little bit of confusion about what each of those things mean. So I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about the importance of the PAW. And the first thing I like to ask students and people, and you guys can type in the chat, I would appreciate your thoughts. What are grades for? What are grades for? So if you can type in the chat, you can raise your blue hand. Thanks, Katie, for saying communication. Awesome. So a lot of students will say things like work completion, or, you know, they don't actually even really know how to start a lot of the time answering these questions. They kind of just take grades as given. So grades are judgment communicated, and sometimes that can be good. Sometimes that can be not so good. I like this clip of Clueless in here because it's pretty funny that that whole movie is about someone trying to get their grades changed through means of coercion. And so our person that we kind of follow their philosophy is Rick Romelli. He wrote a book called Fair Isn't Always Equal. And this is his quote. He says, grades are judgment communicated. And they need to be judgment of learning and not of anything else in order for them to make sense. We understand already that they are flawed. They are subjective. They require a human brain to develop criteria to figure out what they mean, and then another person to understand it. But if they become anything other than communication, like compensation, reward, validation, coercion, bribery, status symbols, oh man, grades can be status symbols for some people, affirmation, then they don't really represent learning. They're not communicating student learning effectively or accurately. So we work really hard to make sure they communicate what we want to. And one of the ways we do that is through the practice assessment. And so grades, we believe, aren't really useful feedback. Sure, they're communication of completion and of a judgment, but they don't really tell you exactly what they learned. And also, they don't always land that way too. So say you did a practice assessment and a student gets a D on a practice assessment, people can tend to personalize those kinds of judgments, and it can get in the way of their learning. So we only formally grade mastery. You'll notice that pause, they all look like they're just 5s. My kid's getting straight A's. Yes, because they showed up for practice. I'm going to explain why in just a second. If they show up wholeheartedly to practice, we give them a 5, and then we give them specific feedback for their learning. We want to honor their effort, but we also want them to pay attention to the actual words, not just a number. A number isn't the answer. So I'm going to give you an example. I like metaphor because we can get caught up in the familiar with learning and schooling. A lot of us are really used to a certain way of doing school. However, learning happens without grades and with a different sort of feedback structure in so many different places in our lives. And we can think about how those apply to school. So one of the hobbies that I like to do is dance. And one of the things that's really important as a dance, a foundational skill, is being able to do ballet. Ballet is not my favorite. I don't always feel like a dancer because I don't know if you guys know, ballet is really hard. It's like they make it look so easy, but you see all those notes next to that ballerina? Try being the only person in a ballet class. Your teacher is saying this to you. Point your foot, relax your face, chin up, long neck, long arms, shoulders down, close your ribs, engage your back, engage your core. It's constant. So say I'm learning how to properly execute a grand battement, which is a fancy ballet term for a really high kick. So my ballet teacher told me at the bar, so I'm standing at the bar, I'm doing my grand battement, and she says, okay, you're a 3 out of 5. You have a B. Your grand battement is a B right now. I wouldn't know what she's talking about. I have no idea. Is it my leg? Is it my foot? Is it my standing leg? Like, which one is it? And if she said, hey, your grand battement is a 1 out of 5, I might actually be so frustrated with getting a 1 out of 5 that I wouldn't even take the time to go look at any written feedback. And now I'm mixing my metaphors. But anyway, so I think it's really important that we honor somebody's honest effort. I could be doing the best grand battement that I have ever tried, and I'm still developing the muscle and the strength in order to get that right. I still want to be appreciated for showing up wholeheartedly. So here's the most important thing, the big takeaway that I want you to remember is that feedback is key. Okay, in the process of learning, our grades are just communication, and the real learning portion comes from the feedback. The number in the grade book is not the feedback. The number in the feedback is just a communication of completion, at least for pause. Mastery assessments are a little different, and on a different week, I'll go into how we formally assess mastery assessments. For this one, for practice assessments, if you see a 5 in the gradebook, if a kid sees a 5 in the gradebook, that should be a key to say, okay, I gotta open the Google Doc. I gotta go view my submission details. I gotta go see what my teacher wrote me to know how close I am to summarizing a paragraph or finding the central idea of an article or distributing equations properly or simplifying equations properly. I need to go check out my feedback from my teacher. So I hope this helps you think a little differently about how assessment works and how feedback works, and how some parents get a little bit confused about, like, wait, why did my kid get a 5 if they got everything wrong? Well, I mean, I can understand that. So I can understand that the issue is that that's because the communication isn't in the number, it's in the words. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat or you can raise your blue hand. I'm happy to answer and to continue this conversation. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is going to be a theoretical look at how grades can be different and about how assessment and learning in school can be different, and maybe a little bit more like the things we enjoy doing, like dancing or hockey or basketball or things like that. So thanks for listening.
Awesome. I think that's a great explanation, Ms. Kotelman. Thank you very much. I'll give it a second to see if anybody has questions and anyone wants to hop in and ask questions.
Or comments.
Ms. Kotelman, can you tell us how much is a PA worth in our grading system?
So when we say how much is it worth, we're talking about in the overall grade total. And that's in the, so if I'm representing as kids language arts grade, you know, you have an A, a B or a C or whatever, which at STrEAM have different meanings for us too. So it's worth 20%. We weigh our grades. So if a student does really well on a PA, that's awesome. They finish all their PAs, they get 20% of their grade as their PAs. And that's their 20% of their overall grade. And overall grades can be kind of dicey too. So just be careful when looking at an overall grade as representative of where your kid is at. Like we said, we're all in the same page that this is a flawed system. And it's not perfect communication. So yeah, 20%. So this is why it's not a big deal to give kids a perfect 5 when they just show up for practice, because they still need to do well in the mastery, because it's worth 80% of their grade. It's like, for me, showing up to ballet practice, practicing at the bar, all my kicks, tendus, pliés, all that stuff, is only 20% of who I am as a judged ballerina or dancer. My performance is what is going to judge me as a dancer and show my overall assessment, your games. So yeah, more metaphors.
Thank you, Ms. Kotelman. I think that those metaphors really help us to understand grading and how we should be looking at grading. I appreciate it. Look forward to this series of check-ins with you about assessment and how we do assessment at STrEAM. We want to give a second, Mrs. Smith, just in case, I didn't ask you to present, so I don't expect you to have anything. In case there's anything you really want parents to hear about Canvas, or the other thing we thought is you sent out a really nice email to parents about expectations for Wednesday. So would you like to just share, you know, what teachers are looking for from students on Wednesday, or anything that you think parents may really need to hear about Canvas?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, on Wednesdays, there are no live Zoom classes, and students across the board, as a generalization among all teachers, should be spending time in our 2 e-learning programs, iReady and Alex. However, this Wednesday is a little different. You should have heard from a teacher or have something from this that was sent to the student regarding specific expectations this week, because a lot of us are doing the iReady diagnostics. So my email to my cohort 8th graders says, for example, hey, I sent a message to your student in Canvas inbox that says exactly what to do, and here's a general summary. And the general summary is specific missing assignments that they didn't finish Monday and Tuesday in class. Finish the iReady diagnostic and reading, spend 50 minutes flexing math muscles in Alex, and for help, I'm going to open my Zoom at a certain time today for those students, just these students that particular message applies to. Probably a lot of people already know this, but you can be a Canvas observer on your student's Canvas account, just to put that plug in there. If you're not already a Canvas observer, if you sign up as that, you can see exactly what your student sees. And at this point in the year, it's more or less a double check and help with guidance, since they lack that executive functioning frontal, part of their brain, just to help double check on things. That's all I can think of. Any questions?
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. That is perfect. I want to, we don't have anything definitive yet. We're working on it. We're going to roll something out soon. I wanted to make sure you all know Mr. Mosen and I are planning for having a ski club. I have a survey built and ready to send out for people to indicate interest in joining skiing, so we can get a sense of the numbers. and communicate some information. So this is coming soon. Mr. Mosen is fully planning on doing an after school optional ski club, and we will be getting more information out soon. Mr. Mosen, did you want to say anything?
Well, two things. I want to follow up on what Mrs. Smith said, which is just the message to the parents academically is this quarter, every grade is handing out some things, which we haven't done in the past. I just want to remind parents that there is the expectation that people will be coming to school, which we haven't been doing that much of. So just wanted that. But more on the note of skiing, which I have a lot of energy for, if anybody wants to talk to me. Mr. Perkins and I went out last night to assess the situation with, we went to Kincaid and saw about 65 young people out skiing and doing it in a way that looked really safe to me. So that was Junior Nordic. And we were right in the middle of it because we were skiing, and it's probably the best snow Anchorage has seen in years. And we're both, along with Mr. Mulcalky, I think the whole staff wants to see a way that we can help facilitate our students getting outside. So Mr. Mulcalky and I will work on that survey today, get it out to parents, and I don't think we can do anything till the 19th at the earliest. So we're sort of bracing for that and want to get input from parents on how this is going to look.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mosen. We're excited to offer this, in terms of keeping things safe and the coronavirus. What we've learned, what we heard from Dr. Zink when she was a guest on our show a long time ago now, months ago. And what we've learned is one of the number one mitigators of the virus is being outdoors. Just being outdoors with, the fresh air and airflow, and it's so much less of a chance to spread than being indoors. So feel really good about getting kids together at this point outdoors. And of course, we'll follow our health and safety plan. And, when we're meeting and in groups and things, we'll have masks on and keep our distance, be really safe that way. But just being outdoors and in fresh air and moving. Another factor is moving. Being outdoors and moving is safer than being outdoors and standing still, again, because of airflow and, circulation, that type of thing. So basically, if you are going to have groups of people together, the safest way to do it, other than the obvious, the ones that we always talk about, masks and 6 feet, the safest way to do it is to be outdoors and to be in movement. And skiing will provide all of those things. So can we guarantee zero risk of a transmission? Unfortunately, no. But do we feel like this is about the safest thing we could do in terms of getting a group of kids together? Yes, absolutely. This is about the safest thing we can do. I want to give Mrs. Smith and her cohort team credit that they pioneered this. They asked my permission to bring their 8th graders together in really small groups to go out into the park, into Muldoon Park for science research and for a project. And we were able to do that, again, socially distanced with masks, outdoors, moving, walking through the woods, and it worked really well. So I'm excited to get skiing going. That is bringing us pretty close to the end of morning coffee today. What a great morning coffee. I really appreciate our staff who presented, parents and friends. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate that you give your time to come on morning coffee. And we have really worked hard. Mrs. Beyondich and I and our staff have really worked hard to streamline this, to tighten it up. We've worked to have more presentations, more speakers, more information sharing each time, and to make it impactful and worth your time. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with us of doing morning coffee since we started it last March. It's been a really cool way to connect with all of you. Mrs. Bionich, anything to wrap up that we want to make sure to share? I remembered one of the things I want to make sure to share is there is an opportunity to join the greatest school on earth and the greatest staff in the district, in the state. We have a special education teacher assistant position posted. We had an incredible teacher assistant in this position, and she had a really awesome opportunity at a job that is more in her field, and chose to take that, of course, with our full blessing and encouragement. And so we will really miss Jessica, but we have an open position. So if you know anyone that has the skills and the chops to be a teacher's assistant and support student learning, work closely with Ms. Kreisha, work closely with our teachers to support students who have some more needs and need some more support. We're looking for that. That should be up and posted on the ASD website now. If anyone's interested, just call Mrs. Bionich or I, or email us, and we'll send a link. So yeah, a rare opportunity. Our staff does not turn over very much. We very rarely have openings. And so it's a sort of a special thing when we do have a open spot. And that's something we take very, very seriously. That one of my criteria for hiring staff is you have to be a fit with STrEAM Academy. You have to fit our mission vision. You have to fit our philosophy. You have to be someone who would fit with our staff. So I'm excited to announce that we have a job open. Mrs. Bionich, anything else we want to share? Good of the order.
I want to remind everybody that one of the best ways to get ready for skiing, for ski season, is dancing. And today our students are invited to Dance Movement Break at 11 o'clock. The link is on their student Canvas dashboard at the very top. So join Mr. Mosen, but especially Ms. Kodelman, who is our dance expert. So that's at 11, and students can get there.